Welcome to Movie Speeching. Spoilers ahead. Watch out and take good care. Rampage is the name of the movie. Please like and subscribe to get new updates. Charge stops his car and changes his dress to burn them, whereas recollecting all the viciousness he fair went through. This begun 2 days ago. Charge could be a 23-year-old fellow living with his dedicated guardians. He's in a consistent state of outrage and dissatisfaction, caused by his fanatical utilization of depressive news, approximately the state of the world, and recordings from tense influencers. To burn through this disappointment, Charge punches a bag, lifts weights, or plays darts in his room. When he's before his guardians, Charge imagines to be a chill fella. One morning things get troublesome when Bill's guardians educate it's approximately time for him to move out of the house. Charge snaps as he spills the juice, reminding his guardians that the bargain comprised of him living with them until he had sufficient spared cash for his post-education, since he needs to do this on his claim. His father focuses out a few of that cash might go to lease, and Bill accuses him of guilt tripping, and contention results, but the guardians have to be take off for work, so they tell Charge that they'll offer assistance him out for a number of a long time, but they still want to talk about the matter legitimately over supper afterward. A while later, Charge drives downtown and goes to a coffee shop, where he orders a twofold coffee macchiato with additional froth. The barista finishes the arrange rapidly, but Charge is disillusioned by what he sees, claiming it isn't a macchiato since it doesn't have froth. And contention follows, and Charge returns the coffee, whereas inquiring for his cash back, but the barista considers he's in blockade and denies to return the cash. Charge storms off only to return a moment afterward and take a few stuff from the counter, sometime recently taking off once more, so the barista employments the chance to toss a roll at his head. Minutes afterward, Charge is at work in a carport settling a van. All of a sudden his boss appears up and focuses out his lunchtime is over, so he should be working on cars rather than sitting around idly on the van. Charge inquires him to treat his best specialist superior and inquires for a raise, but his boss tells him off. Charge has no choice but to work with the cars, but to begin with he leaves a mysterious sack interior of the van. After work, Charge meets his as it were companion Evan, a rebel influencer who makes recordings around contradicting social standards and complaining around the framework. Evan gives Charge 2 bundles and inquires him to halt sending stuff to his house since his father doesn't like it. He moreover needs to know what's within the bundles, but Charge fair says it's a shock. At that point Charge chooses they're getting a nibble at the chicken cave, in spite of the fact that Evan doesn't favor of the company since he accepts in creature rights and orders a serving of mixed greens. Once they have their food, the boys eat, whereas examining their up and coming paintball amusement, and are hindered when the representative comes by to choose up the plate. She closes up, incidentally spilling their dinners on them, and to begin with the folks giggle, but whereas she cleans, they request an expression of remorse and their cash back. The worker says she'll redo their orders, but she can't return the cash, causing Charge to inquire for the supervisor until Evan calms him down. After their unused arrange arrives, they eat, whereas observing individuals on the road, which rouses a tirade from Evan around overpopulation, the destruction of common assets, defilement, and people's fixation with cash. Charge reacts that Evans is well pessimistic, which he's all talk but no activity. Afterward, when Charge returns domestic, his guardians are holding up for him to have a genuine conversation. They're a bit irate since Charge hasn't called and missed dinner, so he apologizes and guarantees they'll have the conversation in the morning since he'll have energized. A while later Charge goes to his room where he peruses books and magazines related to the world's issues, whereas hearing the news on the radio, which moreover talks around savagery. Bill keeps envisioning all those wrongdoings in his head and eventually forsakes perusing to open his bundles instep. It turns out he's requested a full bulletproof armor and he begins putting it together, whereas tuning into Evan's most recent video, amid which he talks around the world requiring individuals who really stand up and accept inactivity. Charge makes fun of him, calling him precious. After wrapping up working on the armor and a few wires, Charge 2 prints a bunch of fake cash. Following, he movies a video of his claim, Bill making fun of Evan for considering individuals are rise to and not doing anything. The another morning, Bill works out harder than ever, sometime recently joining his guardians for breakfast. Bill suddenly educates them that nowadays he's reaching to be proactive. He took the day off from work so he might remain domestic and fill out college applications, trusting to ponder mechanical building. The guardians are shocked to listen this, but 2 exceptionally pleased and appear extraordinary back for their son's choice. A short time later Charge accumulates his things as impressions of his video are shown, during which he says that not at all like Evan, he's getting to take activity. His things incorporate not as it were the armor, but 2 parts of weapons that Charge puts together with ease. When he's done, he looks like a SWAT group specialist, and he can't offer assistance respecting himself within the reflect, whereas his intellect keeps running through all the shocking news and Evan's speech. It's also revealed that his video appears Charge saying a just is made by survival of the fittest, so he'll murder each individual that is using recourses, but their presence isn't advantageous for society, like cancer patients. At that point Charge leaves in his car, but he stops within the middle of the road to change into a diverse vehicle that doesn't have a permit plate. Whereas he drives, Charge keeps on recollecting everything Eva, his guardians, and the news said to him, which keeps him spurred. Inevitably he makes it to the center of the town, where he can see the van he had been working on stopped adjacent. Employing a remote gadget, he begins and drives the van, nearly hitting people and other cars within the handle. He guides the van toward the police station and makes it crash into the building, pulverizing the gathering and harming some officers. The cops that are still standing check the back of the van and are shocked to discover a bomb that Charge quickly explodes, causing the full station to blow up. This will keep the cops active for a whereas and Charge can proceed with his arrange. Another Charge stops the car on an active road and gets out to shoot at a driver, causing them to crash. At that point he begins shooting at arbitrary individuals on the road, which causes major chaos as everybody shouts and runs absent. Car and shop cautions start ringing all over the put as Charge proceeds to murder people, and in the long run 2 cops arrive to halt him. In any case their bullets can't do anything to the armor and Charge slaughters them as well. A short time later he returns to the most road to keep on shooting individuals without kindness, as it were ceasing on the off chance that he must reload. He indeed inquires a lady in case she's frightened before killing her as well. The slaughter proceeds for a few minutes and by at that point Charge has begun to enter stores as well. After slaughtering everybody at a coffee shop, he goes to the cafe with the barista that told him off and asks for the same orange. The barista doesn't recognize him and plans the orange, but Charge gets angry since it's missing froth once more. He gives the barista the chance to run as he begins checking, and when he comes to 5, he slaughters the barista exterior. Following Charge enters a beauty salon and shoots within the discuss as a caution sometime recently cornering all the workers and clients against the divider. At that point he takes off his head protector and gets a few water, clarifying the armor is exceptionally hot. He moreover takes a situate to rest and starts making fun of the casualties for sounding so frightened. A few of the ladies ask for kindness and say their families, so Charge says he feels sick and takes off the shop without murdering anybody. Be that as it may, he returns 2 seconds afterward to corner the individuals in the salon once more and shoot them all at the same time since they saw his confront. Bill's following halt is the bingo, where a bunch of elderly individuals are too active playing to pay consideration to him. He chooses to urge a few nourishment and this receptionist does take note he's insane, so he doesn't charge him for it. Charge sits at a table among the ancient individuals and takes a chomp of his sandwich, but he despises the taste of it. Feeling his outrage bubbling, Charge approaches the caller and steals the most recent number as he calls it for everybody, but no one responds but for the caller who inquires him considerately to give the number back. Charge realizes that these individuals do not require his offer assistance since they're lovely much dead as of now and takes off. A while later Charge drives to the neighborhood bank whereas tuning into the radio, which is as of now covering all his wrongdoings. Once he makes it to the bank, he parks terribly and promptly opens fire on the up and coming watch sometime recently going interior. Whereas he makes everybody back absent from the cautions, all of a sudden a representative hops on him from behind and makes him drop, but Bill quickly overwhelms him and murders him with a cut. Individuals begin to freeze, so Charge shoots a bunch of them sometime recently inquiring the supervisor to open the secure. Whereas the director looks for the key, Charge makes an worker purge the enlist in a bag. Next, the chief imagines he doesn't know the safe secret word, so Charge begins talking to him by substituting between understanding and insuperable until the fellow at last gets it open. Once all the money is within the sack, Charge surges back to his car, puts the bag with the real money within the trunk, and takes out the sack with the fake bills he printed. At that point he makes a appear out of setting the cash on fire whereas hollering that cash is futile. After Charge clears out in his car, the bank chief comes out and sees the burned cash, so he calls the sheriff. In the interim Charge proceeds to drive whereas tuning into the correspondent's conversation approximately all his wrongdoings. Utilizing the radio, he catches the police's recurrence and learns they're looking for him. These cops were coming into town through Cross Street. At that minute Charge gets a phone call from his mother, so he rapidly lies and says he hasn't cleared out the house whereas imagining not to know around the episodes in town. Moments afterward, Charge stops at the chicken sanctum and murders the worker that spilled their meals yesterday. At that minute, Evan calls him and chastens him for being late, since they're supposed to be playing paintball within the woods presently. Charge says he's running errands which he'll be there before long. On his way to the woodland, Charge stops at Cross Street and plants a tremendous bomb behind the welcome sign before going back to his car to wait. Evan calls him once more since he's tired of holding up, but Charge persuades him to wait for him for 10 more minutes, indeed saying he'll murder him on the off chance that he doesn't. When the cops at long last appear up in 2 vehicles, Charge explodes the bomb and the blast hits one of the cars, making it flip. The car with the sheriff oversees to maintain a strategic distance from the blast, and when Charge sees them coming, he instantly takes off in his car, activating a chase on the street. They moreover trade some shots, but miss them all, so the sheriff makes the driver bump Bill's car, but he bumps them back and that's sufficient for him to speed up, taking off them behind. Minutes afterward when the sheriff and his officers at last capture up to Charge, he's as of now cleared out the car with his money sack in hand. He hands behind a fence and warns the officers not to follow him, but when the cops do it besides and open fire, Charge employments a detonator to blow up his car sometime recently running away. The 2 delegates die, but the sheriff is fine and continues to enter the timberland to explore for Charge. It only takes him a few minutes to get misplaced, and when he's occupied, Charge shows up behind him and stabs him. The sheriff tries to shoot him, but Charge fair pushes him absent sometime recently taking off him to drain to passing. A while later, Charge surges to at long last meet Evan and appears him the pack full of cash. Whereas Evan is diverted, Charge employments a stagger weapon to thump him down. At that point he puts a weapon on Evan's hand. By directing it to the proper spot, Charge shoots and murders Evan, making it see like he's self-deleted to be the saint he continuously wanted to be. After putting his armor on Evan, Charge drives absent until he comes to a secure spot where he can alter into clean dress and burn all the proof, getting back to the starting. At that point he puts on clean dress and goes domestic, where he rests on the lounge chair and observes the news. At that minute his parents arrive and think he's been here all day. The columnist on TV announces the police have found Evan and affirms he was behind the slaughter, so Bill tells his parents Evan was his as it were companion. Feeling terrible for their son, they choose not to ask him approximately the college applications and share a hug. After Charge goes to bed, the guardians concur they'll ought to send Charge to a clinician since he's bottling his grief up. In his room, Charge starts pressing all the money into a bag, whereas seeing on TV that Evan's father blockbuster is being captured. The man utilized to be a radical dissident within the 60s and has continuously been anti-government, so they suspect he was behind Evan's activities. On the screen, Evan's father shouts Charge did all this, but no one believes him, so Charge get away his domestic without inconvenience. A long time after the slaughter, Bill's video shows up online. He clarifies that there's no chance to survive and starts raging almost required to kill individuals to spare normal assets, saying he'll do populist control for the purpose of humanity. Thank you for watching. See you on the next video.